Hello. I ordered a whole bunch of different propellers to try with this quad. So when they arrived, I took it out for a fly the other day and there was some problems. It was perfectly okay last time I used it, but I found that the first thing I noticed was that when I throttled up a little bit, when I gave it just a tiny bit of throttle, like this motor here doesn't spin. If I give it a little bit more throttle, it spins. So that was almost a quarter throttle sometimes it takes. So I thought that was a bit strange, but since I managed to take off by giving it more throttle, I thought it was right. But it turned out to be very unstable in hover, and when I tried the three-bladed props, which require less RPM from the motor to get the same thrust, so therefore lower throttle, right? I couldn't barely fly it at all with the three-bladed props because the throttle position was just enough so that this motor wouldn't spin as much. It wouldn't like trigger the spinning of the motor when I was trying to hover. But when I was at full throttle and flying around at speed, it was okay. So I managed to get through the few batteries and try the propellers without crashing. But it was really annoying. So I wanted to figure out what the problem was. So I swapped some things around, changed the motor for that motor, and switched, tried different ESCs and stuff. I even tried unsoldering the connections on my Arduino to make sure that the signals were going to the right place as they should. And it turns out that the ESC here was the issue. It's faulty, not working properly as it should. So I thought, well, I'll just buy another one, and jumped onto Banggood, as I do. Made a few clicks, and I was just about to click the buy button for another one of these ESCs. And then I thought, maybe I should just Google this problem and see if there's been, similar things have happened for other people. And I came up with this result here. And I think at this point that this is exactly what has happened to my quad here, because the problem being too long battery wires, it exactly fits my case with this silly design that I've made, because the battery wire starts here, comes all the way up here. This is about 40 centimeters along the side of this square, and goes to the ESCs here. So you're looking about around about 45 plus a little bit of wire on the battery itself, close to 50 centimeters of travel to get to the ESCs. So it does fit that case. So I thought I would try taking this ESC apart, well, opening the heat shrink at least, and replacing these caps and see if it made any difference. So while I've got this here, I thought I might just show you a little bit about what it looks like inside and what the caps are at the moment. Let's see if I can zoom in here. This webcam I've got, I specifically bought this webcam because it has very good close focus macro sort of ability. And the markings on these ESC FETs here are actually so small that I can barely read them with the naked eye, but the webcam shows them up pretty good when it focuses. So the first thing I discovered on my Google searches was that with these cheap ESCs, people have sometimes found that when they opened them up, there were solder splashes on here that were ruining things. And I saw this one just here which looked a little bit suspicious. But when I looked up the datasheet for these FETs that they're using here, it turns out that most of these pins can actually be connected to each other. In fact, the whole top row there is completely connected all along the row. Maybe you can see the trace and the PCB there. But anyway, and this is a AT, where are we? AT Mega 8, I think. I'm not going to bother with flashing or anything like that. That's a little bit too much of a bother for me, I think. But the caps here, which presumably, I'm not sure if the caps being damaged will actually damage the board itself. So in that case, replacing the caps wouldn't do anything to help. But I bought some caps to replace these, so I'm going to try that and see what happens. And if you're watching this video, it means that it worked and I decided to upload the video. Otherwise, it didn't work and you're not going to see this video. So I'm just going to take these off and replace them with the ones that I got to replace them, which are these. And I did a little bit of searching around and looking at data sheets, and I think this one here should be a fairly good one. It's not the best, but it should be pretty close to what we need. And the caps that are already on there are 270 microfarads, so these are a little bit bigger, and there'll be a bit of a squeeze to fit, but we'll see how it goes. Okay, there we go, all changed over to the new caps, but unfortunately it doesn't work. As you can see, when I throttle up very slowly, still not spinning. When I throttle up a lot, it does spin. So it's exactly the same thing. So I'm not too sure what's going on here, but when I look at this thread a little bit more, it says will kill ESC. So perhaps that is meaning the actual FETs or the 80 mega that's on there or whatever. I sort of read this line here wrong, perhaps. This one says the standard input capacitors will be destroyed over time because they get warmer, hotter. And I guess I didn't really read, there's a lot of pages in this thread, I didn't really read it all the way through. But I took this to mean that the caps were the only thing that got damaged. But perhaps it means that it's not just the caps. But I think I'll put this video up on YouTube anyway, just to point out this problem with long battery wires and such, just in case it does save somebody some trouble in the future who wasn't aware of it. So don't do what I did and make long wires between your battery and your ESCs. So I think what I'll have to do with these is shift all my ESCs to the back plate here and try that. Alright then, thanks for watching.